Hello everyone, Ohio Company Towns back here for a slightly different video. As you can see, the only thing in the screen right now is the Berlin Heights battlefield. So this is, as far as I know, the Civil War battlefield. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this. July 17th, 1863. During the Civil War dislocation, Confederate forces of General John Hunt Morgan fought and defeated Union forces under the command of Colonel Benjamin P. Runkle. Each side consisted of approximately 1,500 men. The engagement began at 11 a.m. with the Confederates launching a cannonade followed by a cavalry charge against the Union forces, sweeping them from the field. This allowed Morgan's forces to proceed eastward, where they hoped to cross the Ohio River into the safety of Virginia. The 3-hour halt caused by having to fight the Battle of Berlin Heights quite possibly delayed the Confederates enough to allow Union forces to catch up to them and defeat them at the Battle of Buffington Island on July 19th, 1863. It's a two-sided sign. It's got the same stuff on each side. We'll go ahead going over here for this other one. Berlin Crossroads, Trouble at the Crossroads. John Hunt Morgan Heritage Trail. The Brigadier General John Hunt Morgan's Confederate raiders left Jackson on Friday, July 17, 1863. They were in good spirits and singing songs, although they had burned a mill near Berlin Crossroads, a small town located on the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad. They soon received reports of a large Union force on the heights above this small town. The force consisted of 1,500 raw and untrained Ross County militiamen, commanded by Union Colonel Benjamin P. Runkle. They had hurried down from Chillicothe to intercept Morgan, killing a few of the raiders as they approached the crossroads. Morgan brought up his artillery and fired several shots at the militia. After multiple charges by the raiders, the Union force broke and retreated over the hill seeking cover. Runkle and his men held up Morgan's main column for more than 3 hours, a delaying action that provided precious time to the pursuing Union cavalry. Around 2 p.m., Morgan headed his forces east. Go ahead, get a... Now, I don't know exactly how accurate this is, because of course I have heard differently. My understanding of it is that the 53rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, 53rd OVI from Diamondtown, which was the former Diamondtown back in Jackson, was the mustering grounds for the people that came here, to the untrained raw recruits or whatever that came here to try to take on Morgan's Raiders, which is what this is. Now, so we'll just kind of say mainly over in that direction. Well, I'll do a 360 here so that you can see that the modern lay of the land is. There's my Rolls Royce. That's the other side of the sign I just read to you, like we're all children. Okay, so this is it. As you can see now, I'm parked at a country church. Asked permission from the nice lady that was changing the sign up here. She said she was okay with me being there. Looked like I scared the hell out of her a little bit, but that's okay, I'm harmless. I'm too old to do anything now. So, down this way, as I recall, as I have been told, this is where, this right here, is approximately where the battlefield was. I could be wrong, but if I am wrong, which could easily be, you can see what's out here now. It could have been, I'm sure that, with 3,000 people out here, I'm sure it was all over the place. Here's what I heard. The 53rd OVI came out here from what was formerly called Diamondtown, then became the mustering ground, and then became something else. I believe they were using the coal to smelt iron or something like that at that location. I have a video of Diamondtown on the channel. So if you're curious about that, want to hear me ramble on, and you have absolutely nothing else to do with your day, then go ahead, check that out. I think it's set about 17 minutes. Maybe you'll watch it whenever you're taking a poo. Okay. So, what are we doing here? Well, this is going to be my first stop in out here in in the, well, I would say the near boondocks. There is a town, Wellston, nearby. But here we are. So what they did was they came from Jackson and where Diamond Town is, and then rushed out here to meet them. Now, if you listen to, or go and watch even, you could listen to it too, my previous video on this, at Diamond Town. What you'll hear is that the mortgage raiders came to Jackson. They kicked some people's ass and stuff like that, pushing people around on the streets there in Jackson, impressed some men into service, which by impressment, we weren't talking about that they were overwhelmed with their professionalism and how cute their uniforms were, but they were basically beaten and or threatened with death, maybe other things. Their family or something like that may have been threatened, and these young men were forced to join. It sounds savage. It is savage, and it continues to this very day on about stuff like that. Not in America, but in plenty of other places. They do the same thing. It's actually a time-honored tradition with people that have overwhelming force picking on a smaller group. Something like that. This has happened throughout time. You know, Boko Haram and the child soldiers that you probably don't remember from 12 or 15 years ago, when they were briefly made news here for, I think, during the Obama administration, as I recall. The children soldiers would be what they called impressed. If you wanted to use an archaic term for it, I think most people would say it was kidnapped and enslaved against their will, after having their family murdered or threatened with murder or butchery by cutting their various limbs off. So I mean, this is a great video so far, isn't it? I mean, this is wholesome. But anyway, so I'm gonna walk down through here. I should be relatively okay. It's not night yet, so I am pretty certain that I can walk down this way without getting hit by a drunk hillbilly. But we will see. So there is there's a lot of private property up through here. I have checked this place out a little bit, and so I know that a lot of this area right here, like this road, has quite a bit of easement on this. I can't remember what this is called. Is this 124? Yeah. I'm back out here on 327. I'm back out here on 327, which if you went to if you listened to the G-Town video I put up earlier this week, this is like March 26th now, I believe. If you seen the G-Town video, you'll say, "Oh, weren't you just out at 327?" Yes, I was. And this place is also on 327. So we have, there's a guy sitting here watching me like I'm going to do something. I'm not. I'm going to sit here and talk to myself. Look crazy. So, couldn't be more obvious I'm filming something. I have no idea why people are, I have no idea why people are giving me the stink eye. But up here through 327, there's actually quite a bit of what is considered to be public property on each side of the road. It actually goes well back into each side. So there's no doubt about it if I wanted to. And I think I will here in a moment. I'm going to walk up this way and kind of give you more of an angle to break up the monotony of me sitting here yapping to myself. So, yeah. So here we're getting closer to the battlefield. And, if for some reason you wanted to go visit a Civil War battlefield, but you didn't feel like going quite a distance or something major that you may have heard about and know, then you can come here to the Berlin Heights battlefield and you're there. I mean, it counts, right? A lot of people died here. So they impressed people in Jackson and then stayed the night at a building, where the John Morgan stayed the night at a building that still exists. It's across the street. It's kind of hard to tell you if you're not from around here, but the courthouse in Jackson, Ohio, Jackson County, Jackson, Ohio, the courthouse is where it is now. Well, the place that he stayed is the brick building directly across the street from the front of it on the corner. If you come down here, it's got also near where the water fountain used to be, kind of more in line with that, from the front of the courthouse where you would walk in if you've been a bad boy. So, and it's that building right there on the corner on the left, if you're stand out facing, facing from the front out towards the road. So that's what this is. Or that's where that was, okay? He spent the night, maybe 2 there, I can't remember which, and then they moved on, or at least that's what the plaques say in town there. And I assume that they know what they're talking about. A lot of these places seem to really, they're trying to preserve the local history as best they can. That's an old house. That is an old house right there. So not of the time period, I'd say, probably not. Although it could be. It does give hallmarks of quite an old place. But anyway, I'm here on the side of the road with my thumb out. You're lucky that's the only thing that's out. No, I'm kidding. My thumb isn't out. Anyway, so this is it. They somehow, despite the fact that it wouldn't have been very far, they made the mustering grounds, was what I've been told elsewhere. They say Ross County. I've not heard that, but I have no idea. Someone went down to the mustering grounds at some point and then intercepted these guys out here, probably because it's a fairly flat area, and you could maybe go up in that ridge if it existed at the time. It probably did. You could go up there and maybe be able to lob your muzzle loader down on somebody. The problem was the Morgan's Raiders were a hardened band of killers. They had went all over the place and killed a lot of people, and they'd gotten quite good at it. If you read some of the ancient Roman books about war and things that occurred whenever they were up and about, you can look all you want to, my guy, take a picture. So whenever they're out and about, they actually usually had 3 levels of infantry or foot soldiers, whatever you want to call it. And the 3rd level was the most experienced and generally also the most bloodthirsty. They had them literally, at most of the time, they would make them stand back because they were the shock force of the troops, and they would make them stand back and sit on their shield and sword, and they were not allowed to get up unless something broke through. The reason why they did that was because these people were really, really good at killing, and they wanted to get involved to get part of the spoils, and because they enjoyed killing. Glory, as it was, the glory of the battlefield. So, what does that have to do with today? Well, no, not a whole lot, other than the fact that Morgan's Raiders would have been the level 3, forces if you were going to do something like that for making some kind of a comparison. It was like it'd be like someone my size picking on like an 11-year-old or something like that. It would not be a fair fight by anyone's imagination, and it was not a fair fight here with this. In a way, look, the Union forces joined after they had been attacked in a local city. They joined up here to battle them. They had all the guts in the world. I respect that, no problem. But the fact was when you're an 11-year-old in the stage of life versus people who had much more experience and everything else, it was going to end badly. Runkle said in some of his later writings, or in a diary at the time or something like that, that they never really got on the offensive. Runkle's the Union guy. They never really got on the offensive. When they came up here, they was able to kill a couple of scouts or something like that on their way in, but when they actually met the force at a serious amount of force, it turned into quite an unpleasant show, and And then that was it. They just got thumped after that. And a pretty good beating. I think they lost several hundred people. And Morgan's Raiders went on, and they buried their dead around here at a variety of places. Some of which, anyway, Salem Cemetary, which I'm going to try to get out here today if I can, if the weather and the sun will allow me. So we'll see. Now, there is a German immigrant town close to here, and I mean really close to here. I'm going to, after I get done yapping at everybody now, I'm going to go down there on a separate video. I might try to tie all of these together because they are kind of the same. They're all like related in a way. With Berlin Heights being here, then Berlin Crossroads being down there, and Salem Cemetery where they buried some of the Union forces. I'm going to see if I can get all three of them done today and get this uploaded today as well after I join them. So we'll see about that. But that is what I'm wanting to do. We'll see if my plan meets contact with reality. But this is the battlefield. It's all now mostly, actually it's all private property out through here, with the large exceptions of the right-of-way or whatever on the long side of these roads here. I see I'm purposely standing very close to the road because I know that this is public property, so that no one can say anything to me because I'm on public property. Just making a video, being harmless. But this is it. And matter of fact, if you look over there at this sign right there under the 124, you will see the Morgan's Raiders thing right there. It's about the only thing that's out here, and ever has been. I mean, there's not really, it's been rural since jump. Never been anything else really to speak of. So you having some road work done here on this section of 327, and yeah. So what we have here is a little known. I never heard about it. I went to school around here. We of course covered this stuff now in a variety of classes over the years. We had a Ohio history course or something back in. Never heard of this place. No one ever said anything about it. It's probably because at the time most people didn't even know. It's my guess. It's one of these things, just like a lot of these old places and old towns or old anything. It's mostly now lost to time and a few people who have decided to research it for whatever reason, like myself. In the last maybe 15 years, there seems to be a revival in trying to make people aware of what went on here, and the people that lived here and set the foundations, pioneered and settled the area and stuff like that. And but plaques and everything you have to be here for. And I'm out here. I'm nearby, so why not? I come out here. This is not a company town. This is a Civil War battlefield. But I kind of figured, well, why not go ahead and include it anyway? I don't think anybody's going to be upset at my choice to go off topic for my channel. Excuse me. Such a crude man. But yeah, so here we are. This was it. That's basic. Oh, look. Somebody used to live here. That is a daffodil. I've been calling them Easter lilies. And then there's one over there as well. You can just barely see. So someone lived out here and had themselves quite a bed of flowers. And yeah, so we have that. Looks like there was a little gravel road or something through here. It does look like there was some kind of a structure out here at one point. There's another road over there that you can see that terminates into nothing. Leads up to that shed now. But yeah, it never fails. Matter of fact, those daffodils, you can find them out at various places in Moonville and Ingham and Kings Hollow too, from what I understand. Because basically daffodils were one of the few things that they had around here at the time. You got to remember, all of this was pretty coherent or whatever of the time period. G-Town, Moonville, Ingham, King's Switch, King's Station, whatever you want to call it. And all this stuff is all part of that time period, more or less, a little bit, even some starting a little bit before. But yeah, here it is, the John Hunt Morgan Heritage Trail. Ironically, a Confederate, an ode to the Confederacy almost, and coming up here and stomping us out. But you know, the rest of the world has, so why not? Why not, right? So here it is. This is it. It's a private property now. The battlefield is private property, and I don't imagine that anyone comes out here and does any kind of metal detecting. I sure don't, because I don't have any metal detectors to detect. So I don't even know how much it'd be out here from just one skirmish, although there were a lot of people. Might find some musket balls and stuff like that. I believe that they stopped and buried the dead, both sides, or took the dead away. So probably not going to find anything too grisly out here, and that the animals didn't carry away. But anyway, this is it. So I'm going to literally go down the street about maybe a quarter mile or so, and go into the Berlin Crossroads part of this video, I guess. And I guess I'll meet you over there. Let's race. All right, so this is Ohio Company Towns back again. We are at the so-called Berlin Crossroads here, historical site of the Underground Railroad. This is beside Fairgreens. As it turns out, these damn country roads are just absolutely hay-necked here. So this is the area that it would have been in. As I recall, the crossroads was where the mill was that got burned down, or something to that effect. All of them many years ago by Morgan's Raiders. Somewhere in through here. I'm not sure exactly where. It seemed like I saw a place that said exactly where it was at one point, but it hasn't been saved by me, and I couldn't find it the other night when I was looking for all this stuff. I'm out by Keenan. That's the next one over from that sign. So I'm gonna take a hop, skip, and a jump over here. I could literally scream from where I'm parked right now, and you could hear me at the church I was just parked at. That's how close we are. Jumped out and did some quick research, make sure that I wasn't going to be stepping on anybody's toes by doing this, and I'm not. Oddly enough, there's a triangle up here owned by Handy Mart Incorporated, which is the local booze store, state liquor store in Jackson. So I know it well. And so they own a triangle out here for some reason, but I'm going to be able to get around it to use the road and get fairly close to some stuff. Now, Berlin Crossroads has now, I guess, officially called, for some reason, Roads. I actually know why. Back in during World War II, or right after World War II, there was some significant anti-German sentiment, even though the fact is this is Germanic America, and I have a good bit of various German in me, various sorts and types. And most people here do, whether they realize it or not. A lot of them don't. For some reason, around here, it's a lot of Welsh, is due to Oak Hill, and then a lot of people think they're Irish. And it's probably just, well, I better not go down that path. I'll offend a lot of people if I start giving out my opinions. So, this right here There is no sign there anymore. And then there's Hunzinger over there, which is not listed as a road, at least on the auditor's website. So trying to find this place required me to actually do a little bit of hopping and stepping. So exactly where it was. Now, this right here is Sand Hill Road. It is owned by the city of Jackson. Now there's a square triangle part down through here that is technically owned by Handy Mart Incorporated. But there's no trespassing signs or anything here. That'd be a rough way to get down. Maybe it's four-wheelers. But this right here would have been a lot of Berlin, Ohio or whatever, once upon a time. Wellston is approximately over in that direction there, a few miles, by the truck stops and everything, General Mills, which is also out nearby, if you might recall, with Ironton Junction. All of these places are within walking distance of each other. It seems like, well, I mean, anything's in walking distance, but this is Sand Hill Road. And even though that there's no, obviously it's definitely sandy, it's actually just gravelly, but this is what it is. And according to the Jackson County Auditor, I'm good to walk down through here because it's the city of Jackson. So I'm not going to go very far because there's not really any reason to. The only reason I'm even coming up this far is to get a better shot of something else that the locals might find amusing. Because if you're of a certain age, you may have went to this place. If you're not, then you may have, you definitely see it. It's now just basically a ruin. What once upon a time called Splashdown. So Splashdown was a good idea in a town that was far too small and far too poor for such a seasonal attraction. And it is definitely a hulk of ruin now. I think it's been out of business for over 20 years, but it still hangs out there and it ain't going nowhere. So believe it or not, this is a road. This is kind of like with Ironton Junction, how they said it was like Mayhew Road or something like that, even though it's a railroad track. I have no idea. This continues on for quite a ways, and I'm not going to go down that way and do anything, mostly because you have to get into the thicket of the woods here after some point to continue on. I'm just coming up here to this flat spot up here so I can get a good picture, and wouldn't you know it, look what we found. Not the ladder, the daffodils. Okay, so let me see if I can, I don't even know if I can zoom in that far on that. That's actually across the street, or across the highway. I think that's 32. I should probably try to focus on it if I'm going to talk about it, right? Okay, so that is the ruin of a splashdown. It'll give you an approximate idea about where I'm at. The overpass is, if you're driving on 32, you're going to have to do some rearranging or something like that to be able to get out here. Sorry, I'm looking around, so nothing but professionalism here. So as you can see over this way, see them, all of them. Here, go ahead and don't need to be zoomed in on that. So you see right here, you got all them daffodils right there, which means that at some point, more than likely, there was a house here nearby, and someone put a bunch of them out on the hillside there, probably from the Berlin days. And there's another one over there. There seems to be some isolated ones out here. I'm sure some of it could be just wild, just a wild transplant or whatever, but there's a lot of them out here. There's one over there by those that utility post, or whatever you want to call the poles. There's one over there. So here we are. Let me see. I'll go up here a little bit farther, because like I said, this is still, as you can see, or you might be able to tell right here, that is Sand Hill Road. Still owned by Jackson, therefore public, Therefore, I can walk it, whether you like it or not. The other property around here is privately owned, so I'm not going to be venturing too far off of this, because I'm okay through here. You would be okay through here, but over there, I think some of it's Waterloo Coal owns it, and some other people. I'm not sure. I just checked it out real quick so that I don't get back here and somehow get myself in trouble or get my ass shot off for some reason. But this is it. I'm gonna go over here. I can still see the outline of the road. Now at some point it veers into over there, which looks like, now that I come back here, it might be hard to see, but let me see. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see. I don't even know if that zooming is going to do anything for it, but right here, right in here with my magic finger is what looks like to be an elevation. My guess is that is where the rail line came from. Marietta rail line, I believe, something like that. I mentioned it in the last video. I've already forgot it because I'm a stumbling hulk of a, or excuse me, empty hulk of a old man now. So I have no idea. But this is it. I'm certain that's got to be some kind of railroad artifact, railbed artifact, right up and through here. And then it's over. This is the area. Most of it now is on private property. There's not really anything else out here. As you can see, it is just a field now. And the only thing left are some, a couple of flowers. Let me see. Goes from right there, and then it looks like there might be some kind of a sort of a land bridge over there, where it would have the rail may have peaked down on both sides over in those directions. And you can see over there is a Lazy Dog Resort. I think that's what it's called, or whatever it used to be called that. Sand Hill Road actually goes behind all of that, and it's legal to walk if you have the guts. Because a lot of these people, I've found these ghost roads or whatever you want to call them, even around and where back in Jackson, where they are considered alleys and they are city owned. You can walk them if you want, but everybody down there considers them to be their property, and so you might run into some hostility. But they can call the police, try to get you arrested, but there's nothing that they can do about it, because according to the auditor, there's nothing to be done. Another patch right there. Okay, so don't know what that mound is. Don't really care. But it looks like it could have been like a rail line spur or something could have come out through here, and then that gentle grade over there on both sides could have been how it went. I'm not sure. I don't even know if there's any kind of I'm not even sure if there's any kind of location, they know about where it was or anything. I'm sure they do. Somebody somewhere probably does. There's gotta be some kind of stuff like that. So this is Sand Hill Road here in Milton Township near Wellston, Ohio, and near the Berlin Heights battlefield of Civil War. And this right here was probably pretty good bet that this is where a lot of the town was. That's what I've heard online, is that this is where the town is. So it was. So obviously nothing here anymore. But yeah, so here it is. And this is all that's out here right now. I don't imagine that I'll be getting out here doing anything out here. I don't really see that there's a point to it either. The battlefield wasn't here. So this is just an old just the remnants of an old ghost town now, or company town. Well, I guess it'd be an indigenous settlement, or not indigenous, ethnic settlement, since it's all German. This place was here before Wellston, and would have been, could have continued on, but for maybe because of the battle and then other bypass by the railroad or something like that, it just died off, and Wellston became the place. I'm not sure exactly how that went, and it is outside the scope of this video, but here it is. This is it. So if you ever get curious, up to a certain point, you're okay to come back here, because no one can tell you any different. And if they want to cause problems, you can cause problems right back for them. And this right here looks like, who knows, this might be something modern here, but I hear Sand Hill Road, and then it branches off into those people's yards over there. And this could have been a path from the old days, or it has something to do with the coal company that is now long gone from here. And that's about it. So we knocked another one off the list here today from and completely legally. You have no concerns with anything out through here, because I checked the auditor's side. So there's some kind of something over there. That's probably where the Waterloo coal property is that where that stuff is right there. I'm not sure though. I think it is. Don't know why they'd have that. And then that shed right there, which looks like it is too new to be anything that I'm interested in. Well, there is some old stuff down there, but not old enough. So there it is. This is easily the only and see, here you go. You got that goes down into there over that ridge, and then across the street is the same thing. That must be like four-wheelers or something. That's got to be that. But that's, yeah. Okay, so what about Berlin, Ohio? Berlin Crossroads. Well, I'll come back up here to my car briefly, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So, as you've seen on the sign back there, that treacherous little trek I made down Fairgreens, it was a Underground Railroad stop, or stops through here, that allowed escaped slaves to come up here from probably Virginia. A lot of them probably from Virginia at the time, which would now be West Virginia, I'm almost certain. Before West Virginia. So this is they came up here. It was part of their way of getting them farther north, I guess, to where, because down here I imagine it got the kind of like a lot of stuff. This was close enough to I guess some slave holding lands or something back in the day that maybe you could count on the law being on your side. If you're an escaped slave, maybe you couldn't. And your best bet was probably try to go northeast from here up into the more liberal states, shall we say, of in around the New York area, which were less likely to return you, much less likely to return you, but they had chattel slavery up there. But since it wasn't absolute slavery, somehow there is some kind of a moral high ground, I guess. It seems like you're splitting a hair to me, but what do I know? And I'm not a history expert. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But this is, I don't think I'm too wrong, but it's one of those things where, do as I say, not as I do, I guess. I don't know. Very, very common along these lines. So sheriff hasn't come out here yet, probably because they know better than to do it, waste their time. This is owned by the city of Jackson. There's no reason for them to come out here and bother me or you. There's nothing posted for no trespassing. You can't trespass on public property, with the exception of very rare cases. It's just not going to happen. So here is the named but unknown Hunsinger Road, leading back to some sawmill or something back in there, or some kind of wood making activity over in that direction. And this is it. So they came here. They passed on through up into wherever they went from here, and this was one of the spots. I don't think any of the houses that harbored them, the slaves, runaway slaves, I don't think any of them are still extant. There's nothing obvious that it would be. And I haven't heard anything online about, here's the house that once, whatever. Of course, it's now getting to be 180 years ago, or something like that. No, about 160, I guess. 160 years ago since the war ended. So, the house would have to have some pretty good longevity to have made it this far, especially out here. I imagine it's probably just easier to walk off on it and move on to something else. But this is it. If you this is one of the places. Once again, had no idea that there was underground when I was in school. Back in my day, kid, I didn't hear anything about this. I had no idea that anything like this existed, that there was anything like that here. There's no Civil War battlefield, stop on the underground road, nothing. I didn't hear about anything. I did hear that Morgan's Raiders came through here, and then that's about it. And yeah, so here, just one of those things where the internet and some people who are able to have maintained the knowledge have been able to post stuff up and now make people more aware of the history of the area than it was even much closer to the time of it actually happening. So that's nice in a way. One of the good uses of that's a church over there, I think. One of the good uses of the internet. That dog scared the hell out of me just now. If the camera or my phone jumped, that's why. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, I thought I was gonna have to pull my pistol out and kill this poor dog, speeding by at 50 miles an hour. But yeah, so yeah, this is it. We found the only artifacts of the town left would be, other than, well, the battlefield wasn't technically part of the town, I suppose, but you got some of them old daffodils over there, which may have been from those days, may have been from the Waterloo coal days, not sure, but they're definitely very old, and they are at places that I find them all the time at places that are old enough to have been Civil War era. So I imagine that more than likely there's a pretty good bet that that's probably where they came from, but who knows. This is Berlin Crossroads. The sign is down that way, about 1/8 of a mile, 1/16 of a mile, but the town itself is actually down there. It is down that road, down there, and all through this field, and probably even farther than that. Got a Gallia Jackson Vinton bus. There you go. But there it is. You say, well, why did you come out here? Well, it is a ghost town, an old ghost town. It was probably like G-Town in that it did things for other places. Keystone Furnace, well, I don't know, that'd probably be a pretty good little stretch from here. Tom Corwin Road is not far from here. Superior Coal, Tom Corwin, and then some of the other small towns, little towns that were out here this way, that were company towns. This place probably provided some amount of labor. There may have been more here. They did have, like I said, a rail line that came through here. There was a station, so it's long gone now, but there was a station out here, and there you go. So it's weird how that is, how you have something like that, and boy, now it's just a rolling hill with some grass on it, and you'd never know that there was anything out there. Well, I'm going to try to, if I can find the will to shut my mouth and continue forth, I'm going to try to get to Salem Cemetery and go down there, because that's going to be an interesting one, and then that'll wrap me up for today and probably for a little bit. I got to figure out what's next and where I can actually go. So many of these places are known thanks to the 1875 atlas and maybe some platting, but well, no, not platting, because they know where they were. They mentioned in atlases or something like that, but you have no idea where they are. It's amazing. Some of them had post offices. They don't know where they are. So I have to pick and choose carefully, because coming out here and being able to stare at the hill there is better than, well, I don't know where Ohio is. AI. Ohio is. So nobody does, as far as I can tell. So we will see. There is plenty of other stuff around here, but I got to pick and choose, and then, of course, do some research to make sure that I won't upset anybody by trespassing and getting my middle-aged ass shot off, or even worse. But anyway, here it is. This is it. And I'm going to shut up now. There's about a 90% chance there's going to be something else after this, so there will be a awkward transition here on to Salem Cemetery and the false mystery of Salem Cemetery. More on that, possibly, probably, right after this. Ohio Ghost Town's back here again for now a trifecta. You see it, Salem Church, here out in the middle of absolute, more or less, nowhere. There is an independent stave factory, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to call it, out here nearby. It's got and it's fairly large. This is the cemetery. Okay, it's a cemetery. The Salem Cemetery on Salem Road. Nothing to do with Salem's Lot. If you got that joke, man, my God, you are old. Yeah, you are old. Okay. So here's, I swear these aren't my socks. Although they could be. It looks a lot like what I got on. So, I'll give you a quick pan. Oh, shit. Somebody got that door open over there. I ain't going to touch it, though, because God knows somehow I get blamed for it. Large tree trunk. And here it is, Salem Church. Now, this place, first off, is where some of the people from the Berlin Heights battlefield, the Battle of Berlin Heights, are buried. There are several of them buried here, and maybe some other stuff as well. So, and then as you can see, it's actually quite, for a place like this, the history it's got a long time ago, actually got quite a few burials. There's a lot of modern burials out here of the later day here, probably because I would guess, I'm certainly not talking trash, but I'm guessing it's probably because it's pretty cheap. Can't imagine that there's a whole lot of competition coming all the way out here. So we are still in Milton Township here, nearish Wellston, Ohio. Here is the infamously haunted Salem Church. Now, here's the legend of Salem Church that is still known to this day, and it's probably why they have a couple of beer cans out here in the parking lot, because people had to work up the guts to do this. So the local legend is that a Confederate soldier died in that church, which I've never been in. I'm not sure. It's got a padlock on it, master lock. I don't know if that place is open at all anymore. They do have looks like they got a utility, a utility deal right there. I'll tell you what, the fact that I am so well, well, a lot of fancy words that I know. Okay, so here it is. This place, here's the legend. So like I said, the supposedly a Confederate soldier died in there while he was wounded at the Battle of Berlin Heights. He was transported here and died. And legend has it that if you come here and knock on that blue door right there about midnight, or right on midnight, I believe is the legend. You go, you know, and then watch someone will knock back just to help, you know, I'll be running away from here screaming. See? Okay. Now, you do that at midnight. Apparently, sometimes the Confederate soldier will knock back. Which I don't know why he would if he's in there dying. But, or whatever. But supposedly, he will occasionally knock back. I have brought my daughter out here. And last year, I think it was last year, brought my daughter out here and had her do it. And of course, being a very young girl, she wanted to do it, but she wanted me to do it, and I refused to do it. And she did get the guts up to do it. You could tell she was, it was a challenge, but she did it. And of course, nothing happened. Now, if you look up here, that should give away the game to everybody, but for some reason it doesn't. It says Salem Church, built 1915, remodeled 1992. Now it says it was established, it looks like in 1834 or something, but I don't think, matter of fact, I'm almost positive, that this place was here for a Confederate soldier to die in unless he decided to hang around for a few decades and he died of old age in there somehow. So, just like a lot of these ghost stories, there's just not much to them. Matter of fact, to this one, it doesn't seem like there's anything to it. But it is what it is. And this is an actual cemetery. If you're a pedant like me, who gets irritated by small, meaningless things. Oh, look at that. Gets irritated by small and meaningless things. A graveyard is a cemetery without a church. A graveyard is a graveyard is a place that has graves without a church. A cemetery is a place that has graves with a church. That's the dividing line, so to speak. Been out here before, and I didn't notice that these were old railroad ties. Well, you got to say, they never throw anything away in southern communities. They reused it well. They've definitely got their money out of it. That's solid. Those things will be here after I'm gone. They've been here since a lot of people's gone. So I'm going to take a quick trip. Usually I'm pretty thorough about these things. Vandalism. I'm pretty thorough about these things, but this is just way too much. There's just way too much here to Copus. There. So I'm going to take a little quick trip around the grounds here, and we'll see what we can see here real fast. Hopefully I won't run into somebody that I once upon a time knew and jumped out, finds out that they're here, and that's hitting close to home. That guy would have been or woman would not have been much older than me right now. So, not cool, man. And of course, the ever-present daffodil. So, we want to take a quick walk through here. See what's going on. Obviously, some of these are new. Because they would not look like that if they were over 130 years old. Just two too many. Looks like a bunch of Hollingsheads. Oh, you can't hold it against the graveyard, right? Okay. "43rd Ohio Infantry." That guy right there was a Civil War soldier. So, here we are. This is what it is. So, I'm gonna take a quick trip through this place. I walked this with my little girl a while back. We were out here a couple times. Walked it during the day after we got back from Moonville. So I walked her all the way out from Moonville Tunnel to Ingham Station, and then there you go, another one. I told you there's a lot of guys that died in that battle that are buried here. Looks like some kind of a trash can over there of some sort. But here we have all of this. So yeah, this place has long been rumored to be extremely haunted. Some kind of a retaining wall. Okay, call out a wall. And as you can see over here, there's a bunch of much more recent burials. Over this way, 2017, 2009, you know. So there's a lot of them out here. So we'll go out here a little ways. That's spooky. So, okay, Williams Purse. This is this side of things. And then over here, of course, is the more ancient side of things. So we're going to head back over this way. He didn't die in the battle, although he wasn't very old. He's 51. 78 Ohio Infantry. That would have been during the Civil War. Well, Mary, daughter of N and E Yerington, 2 years, 3 months. So, and this is going to be part of the reason. There's a lot of them out here, and it was a time period, just what it was. There was a lot of death, lots and lots and lots of death. Henry McNeil, 78th Ohio Infantry, Company B. He's a bugle boy from Company B. The boogie woogie bugle boy. All right. I think. All children. I do it to myself, don't I? I do it to myself. So, shame on me now. But this is now the back of the church back there. 95 years. Thomas Austin died on January 20th, 1893. 95 years, 2 months, 210, I don't know. I think 210 days. Maybe that lad was almost 96. Which back then would have made him nearly a demigod of longevity. You do see them out here like that every once in a while, and it's a biological wonder. I guess that whiskey and hard work helped out for some of them, huh? Once again, fellas, ladies and gents, I'm sorry for stepping over your bodies. I got a 1844. Wow. So, as you can see, there's burials back here from the settler days. Lots of them. Not sure if there's anything. Not sure if there's much of anything else back here as far. I don't think it goes back any farther than that. A lot of these people were born back in the pioneer days, but they died in the settler days. So we have here an indention where a coffin fell in after all these centuries. Actually, it's like 2 of them. And then somebody came out here and broke that, and someone decided to put it back up. As you would, I suppose. Now, this is mildly amazing. I don't know how you would shift a rock that size off. You'd need some help. And of course, more daffodils. So, quickly moving on here. What's that? Oh. So John and Gary Kamek, who did a pretty good little run, and it appears to be maybe the original spot. And then there's the letter marker for this part of the cemetery. There's Kamek, whatever, all over this place. I've seen him up there closer to the church. Some little family plot here. Young young man. At least he got some time out here. Of course, there is. This is a place I've mentioned previously that there are some rather big monuments for children. I said in the Lemur Cemetery video, Tom Corwin Lemur Cemetery video, I've said that one of them out here is a doctor. This is the child of Dr. So-and-so. And of course, he had the money that he could make a huge buy one, have one made for him. Another one of these. Got some class. Interesting. As far as these things go. Someone chiseled. Well, no, I guess someone knocked that one over and then got rid of it. So it looks like he was about 6 years old. Well, so moving on, we will continue to move on, just like life. This looks like a stone chair in my grandmother's grandparents' house. They had outside bench, whatever you want to call it. Let me see. Bunch of kids? Yep. Perkins. Looks like one of them made it to maybe a year. World War I vet right here. Those are new. I like that. I do appreciate that somebody decided to come out here and give these poor kids something you can actually see. Another kid, Irwin, with an eye. Woman. Private first class U.S. Army. Would have been World War II, or no? I guess it would have been Vietnam, maybe. A heart of gold stopped beating, two shining eyes at rest. God broke our hearts to prove he only takes the best. Well, I guess that means that one of these days I'll be the best too. Because we're all going to die. You can tell it goes out there quite a ways. It's spread out a lot. Probably that half of these aren't even marked. Because they couldn't mark them. They couldn't, they couldn't, they don't have anything to mark them with. Didn't have the money. Just brought them out here to plant them. Some leech, looks like some leeches. World War II vet. So here we are. This is Salem Cemetery. We're almost 19 minutes in. Haven't really accomplished much of anything. Not that that matters. we don't ever accomplish anything here at Ohio Ghost Towns. We're chasing down places that don't even exist anymore. So, not the best use of time, I suppose, but it's mine to burn. So here we are. World War I, 2nd West Virginia Cavalry, Benjamin Kaiser. So, Wilkie, I think. Go over here and see what this guy, where he was. Corporal, I'm not sure, F-134 Field Artillery, World War I. Didn't die in World War I, though. Had a pretty good run. So, Perkins over there has got something as well. So, there's a lot of Wilkies here. But I've never even heard of the last name. So, must not be around here anymore. But yeah, we'll go over here to this place real quick. Another family plot. Now, here it is, AE2 U.S. Navy. Now, I just wonder about spots like this, because this guy has been here for basically 15 years. And for some reason, the grass isn't growing. Now, I would never insult somebody who's dead and ain't here to defend himself. But you have to wonder, is it someone doing that on purpose to make some point? I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I don't know the guy. So, private U.S. Army. Let's see here. Huh. There's not a kid's burial here. These were all adults. Huh. All right then. Well, sometimes you'll have that, I guess. I think this guy liked his cars. Or he liked miniature cars, Hot Wheels. Who knows? Huh. All right. So we'll go on a little bit farther. Now I'm going to beat a hasty retreat. Depends upon my luck. I might be able to go back and go in one more place that is somewhat interesting. This is interesting. Somebody is trying to let you know not to walk on Granny's grave here. Rhonda Duncan. Sounds familiar, but I don't know. This is, ooh, what's this? I'm not trying to make anybody mad here when I said ooh, but this looks like a fairly recent deposit. And beside Irma Leach, who's been here a while. Let's see. Oh yeah, it is. Sandra Young. Yeah, she's ooh. It's this year, and worthless. You can. Okay, well. All right then. So like I said, mean no insult, but just, you know, I don't know. And there it is. So if you've heard of Salem Cemetary, but you haven't ever been out here for one reason or another, maybe you don't have the guts. Maybe you don't have the guts or something to come out here because you've been spooked by all the ghost stories of the place. Delbert Baldwin, and then here we got this huge tree right beside him. Makes you wonder. Now you kind of get the feeling of the place here. World War II vet. Imagine it would be Frank, but there we go. So this is full of war vets because this area has a lot of them. Matter of fact, my grandfather served lots of lunches and dinners and breakfasts in World War II in California. You can smell the sawdust from here, from that Independent Stave place. This could be worse. The ubiquitous daffodil. The ubiquitous Southern Ohio daffodil. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll try to go to one more place if I got the light to burn. Thankfully, there's another place I'm going to, which will be in a totally separate video. It has nothing to do with this, so I'm not going to put it in there with this. But it has its own little bit of history. If you're a citizen of the booming town of Jackson, you will know where it is as soon as I turn the camera on. So we will see. So here we go. Okay. Back to the parking lot to leave. So I'm going to go ahead and walk this place on back and Excuse me. It's cold out here. I'm not crying. I do that off camera. Yeah. Now let's see. Now, what kind of chuckle-headed fuck would do that? They try to topple it? Or did it just, I don't know. I can't get it back. I think it's been there for a while. I don't understand that, but whatever. I tried to turn it up right, buddy. Sorry. So, this has been a fairly decent tour of Salem Cemetery with some background on this place as well. And here we will end up on this. The Southern Cross of Honor, Deo Vindice, I think, 1861-1865, in memory of the unknown Confederate soldiers who served under General John Hunt Morgan and died July 17, 1863, at the Battle of Berlin Heights, Berlin Crossroads, Ohio. Confederate States of America. I mean, the Iron Cross there. So, there you go. It's interesting that they would honor the dead of, and then these are on right here. That's weird. Well, I don't know if maybe there's a bunch of unmarked burials in here and they just kind of put them up there or what. Looks like they all got a couple of years on them. And of course, you can tell the old stuff from the new. Those are railroad ties. But they back in the day they honored the opposing fighters, I suppose. Maybe out of respect. Maybe I don't know. If they were dead, they came here long away from home and died, far from their family, never to see them again. A lot of these people, their family would just have to assume that something happened to them. It's either something happened to them or they just decided never to come back and never to see their family again. So I imagine it was probably more comforting to think that they died. But maybe that was part of the reason why these people back in those days did what they did, even with people who were trying to kill them, literally hours or days before they interred them. Some touch of sentimentality about, hey, we're all human at the end of the day. We were all Americans. It was a brother versus brother war almost. And matter of fact, they might have even called it that. So they gave him a decent send-off. I don't think that would happen today. I think that even though our lives are much softer and easier, we're a lot meaner for it. I do believe that there is a certain amount of getting your ass kicked around and struggle that humanizes you to a degree. And these people certainly saw a lot of death. They, oh, wait a minute, what's that over there? Just a piece of that? Okay, all right, look at that. Look at that. They just cut that section off, stuck an air conditioning in it, just laid it there. And who knows how long it's been there. It'll probably be there for years. Random thing for me to pick up. Got the attention span of a squirrel. What was I saying? But I think that the easiness, the luxury, if you even will, of modern days, where today many poor people are fat or overweight. I'm not talking about myself here, but I may be included in that. But we live in a state of luxury at this time compared to pretty much any time in history. Matter of fact, any time in history. And I think we're a lot meaner for it. I think that, and not that I would want the days of struggle and hunger and everything to come back. I don't. But I think that when you grew up and knew how lucky you were to make it beyond 5, beyond 18. You've seen so many of your family members of your age, younger, die just out of nowhere. It doesn't make sense. It didn't seem right. Maybe your family member was a better person than you, a nicer person, more decent, and you've seen them suffer and die, and watch it tear everybody up, never be the same. I think that it created a certain respect, a certain frame of mind that we don't have much of anymore, as well as letting you know that your time was yours, but you only had a little bit of it, and it made no sense. You probably didn't even try to make sense of it, but the tragedies of what happened and befell people all around you until it befell you. So, it is what it is. The impermanence of life is the only thing that you can be assured of anymore, ever have been, is that you will die. And these places right here are full of people who once lived and are no longer around. But that's life. That's always been life. I've read books from guys that's been dead 2,000, 5,000 years. They once were and then they weren't. And that's just the way it is. So you try to grip the sweet vine of youth and the sweet vine of life and make the most of it, what you can, and do what you can, and try to be a better person whenever they lay you in one of these places than when you started. So, but that is what it is. I can remember watching World War II documentaries about World War II, where people had said that, in this case, it was working in the Nazis. These people had said that they worked at one of the major buildings, one of the major areas of the Nazi regime, that they always made dinner and lunch and stuff like that was always made no matter what, because you never knew who would pop in. So you wanted them to be able to have something, right? So after these, so every day what wasn't eaten or wasn't eaten at all, these people would gorge themselves on and then take a lot of it home with them, and no one cared, because back then in the 30s and 40s it was a big deal, and you didn't want to waste it, and no one wanted to deny somebody something like that when it wasn't going to do anything for them anyway. So I can remember many people over these videos saying that when they were working there and were able to go and just gorge themselves on these feasts, it was the only time in their life that they had been so full that they didn't want to eat anything else. Now, yes, that is 80 years ago, more or less, and longer now. But it shows you exactly how tough things were up until here, absolutely fairly recently. There are plenty of people still around that were at least born and lived some of that time, didn't understand it or know it, but they are people from that time. There still are around, and their parents grew up and were hungry regularly, and knew hunger like the people 500 years before them in a much different time. I heard stories from my grandparents about not having enough to eat when they were kids and stuff like that. Something now is taken fairly for granted. You go down to the gas station or something, eat a whole bunch of chips and whatever, and pound down a liter of Pepsi and stuff like that, and go play your video game. This is not from personal experience, I assure you. And all that, and you just take it for granted. Whereas back in the day, to gorge yourself with something that most people never did. Because if these people grow in over there in large towns and in Europe and stuff like that, if they had never gorged themselves, they've been able to fill themselves up really full. You can't imagine what it was in other places, and before that, forget about it. So we live in a luxurious time. We should be probably a lot nicer to each other because of the fact that we have so little to worry about in so many ways, but we're not. And I guess that's just kind of the how what Kant said, from the crooked timber of humanity nothing straight shall ever be made. And unfortunately, I think he's right. Other than small communities, small groups of people, maybe even just between a couple of people, he was right. And there's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way it is. It's a fight you can't win, and there's nothing you can do to change it. It's just the way it was, just the way it is, and just the way it always will be. So if you find yourself like me, where I'm in a pretty happy spot in life overall, and appreciative of the things that I have, and knowing that it will end for me as well, maybe you don't have to go around being nice or being a sucker or anything else like that, but maybe appreciate what you got, and know that it could be a whole lot worse. It could be a lot worse. So on that pseudo-philosophical, somewhat depressing note, as I try to reach out and connect with you, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here on a somewhat happy note, I guess. So enjoy it, have fun, be young, drink Pepsi, all that good stuff, and just have a great day.